Oh, okay.
Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Daily Herold here on Badlands Media. I'm your host, Jon Herold, and happy Monday. If I could say happy Monday in Spanish, I would, because of what happened this weekend. What a pretty, did I not press play? I pressed play. I think we're streaming everywhere. Let me double check that. Oh, yeah, we're good. This weekend obviously was a pretty big news weekend. I think it was Friday night. Yeah, because Saturday we talked about on the Power Hour. Friday night, Trump decided to go in and kidnap Maduro. And it's pretty exciting stuff just for like the sake of the news cycle. It was getting very boring. A lot of, reruns, repeated news. Everything's in a cycle. And now we got something more we can talk about. And I like that there's a little friction around it too. And I like that the friction is directed at us. I think that's good. That's where we want to be. We want the friction. We talk about that all the time. Highly frictional. So Saturday's show was very interesting because there was a lot of people who weren't happy with the show we did. And I get why. A lot of the messages and some of the texts that people had sent about the show, people tune in and they want to know what's going on and all these things. And like our point is Feliz Lunes. That's how you say it in, or Buen Lunes. All right. Feliz Lunes. Happy Monday. A lot of people tune in because they want to figure out what's going on. And we weren't even 24 hours since Maduro was taken in like one of the most crazy, special operations, military operations we've had since like the 90s or something in that area of the country, or that area of the world, if it's even true, how it went down. There's legitimate questions to be asked. But anyway, people, were mad that we didn't tell them what's going on. We don't know. And anybody who claims to actually know the specific details of the full scope of things that are going on is lying to you. Everything's speculation right now. What we're getting from the mainstream media, what we're supposed to be taking at face value, it's not true. If you want my speculation, which I'm happy to get into, I do think there's something bigger going on behind the scenes. I think this was more of a negotiated exit than it was like an actual kidnapping. But even so, I'm still against the idea of regime changes. And I want to talk about that because I posted, I had a post about, I don't remember which one it was. I had a couple of them, I guess, that were talking about this topic. And there was some pushback on it. And a lot of people are playing semantics over what it means to be, or what a regime change even is, or whatever. And I think it's important to talk about some of this stuff. And we're going to talk about, purity tests a little bit, why it's okay to like not agree with somebody because your principles don't let you, but still support that person. Like that's a thing. But this is the post I had. I said, you can simultaneously support and trust Trump, engage with both the narrative layer and the actual layer of the story we're being told. And the actual layer is more difficult, obviously, because it's very difficult to parse out what is actually happening if you can't like witness it with your own eyes, right? A lot of it is speculation and hearsay. Anyway, but then you can also understand there is more going on behind the scenes, which I do, while not celebrating regime change operations in foreign countries. So we're going to talk about that today. Ash says, hey, Cece, are you avoiding frostbite? I don't think she's been outside enough. Even cumulatively, if you would take all the instances that Cece has been outside this winter and like put it all in one instance, it probably wouldn't even be enough to get her a frostbite. She just hasn't been outside much. Just the car to wherever we're going, and that's most people in the winter. It's probably me too, outside a couple shoveling times. Anyway, let's get a quick word from our sponsors of today's show. And then we'll talk some Venezuela stuff and hopefully get people pissed off. That's what I want. I want people to disagree with me. I think that's okay. We need to get comfortable with that. First up, we got River. Okay, Bitcoin right now, let's see if it's gone up even since then. It is. It's back up above 94,000. If you were taking my non-financial advice as financial advice, even though it's not that, you'd be up a little bit. I still think anything under 100 is a buying opportunity, so I'd encourage you to get some badlandsmedia.tv/river, even just like 5, 10, 15 bucks a month. It adds up. And if sats are the future, which, by the way, there's a story out there that Maduro's like secondhand man took a bunch of gold profits from a few years ago and put it into Bitcoin, and he's got like $60 billion worth of Bitcoin out there somewhere. Maybe we'll get into that story too. Anyway, badlandsmedia.tv/river. And also, if you're going to get Bitcoin, you need to get a cold storage wallet. And there's no better place than Trezor. Trezor. Badlandsmedia.tv/Trezor. R.R. Hody disagrees with me. Just getting in before the rush. Scheisler just got word they're closing on their house Friday, so we get to move. Congrats. Do Elmo has 0.04789 Bitcoin. Hey, every little bit helps. But all right, let's talk about the primary story for today's show, and probably most shows. I wonder if we'll ever talk about Somalian fraud again, now that this story has completely consumed the news cycle. President Trump says U.S. forces captured Maduro in major Venezuela operation. President Trump said Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro and his wife were captured and flown out of the country early Saturday morning following a large-scale U.S. strike that quickly drew international reaction. According to U.S. officials, the operation was carried out by the Army's Delta Force after months of joint planning between the CIA and the Department of Defense. Remember, CIA, they got greenlit to run operations in Venezuela back in, I think it was October. So they've been, makes sense. They've been planning for a while. Intelligence supporting the mission included signals and overhead collection, along with information from a CIA source inside Venezuela's government who helped pinpoint Maduro's location. So we got a source in the government. DDan986. I just bought Bitcoin. I have $70. I made 77 cents. Look at you. If you repeat that like a million times, you are going to be set to retire. Attorney General Pam Bondi later shared a superseding indictment naming Maduro, members of his family, and senior cabinet officials. The charges mirror those filed against Maduro in 2020, which were also superseding indictments. Several reports suggest Maduro's removal was the result of a negotiated exit. There we go. With his vice president now in Moscow aligning with prior predictions by Badlands that he would follow an Assad-style departure and receive asylum in Russia. This is the narrative translation of the Sovereign Alliance for Globalist Cartel, according to Burning Bright. Well, that is new, where we add in our own little slice of life at the end of a Badlands article. I disavow Burning Bright's quote. But yes, that is, I think that maps most closely onto reality. The oil change narrative, we're going to talk about this too, does not make sense. I think that's a cover. We'll talk about that. But okay, let's talk about this first. And kind of the Twitter post that I said. So I am a Trump supporter. I think most of you who watch this show know that. Contrary to a few people on Twitter who think because I do not align with one thing Trump did, or do not agree with one thing Trump did, that makes me deep state. That is not true. I wrote the Devolution series, for those who don't know, devolution.us. It is an entire series about how Trump implemented a continuity government plan before leaving office in 2020. And it was like the guardrails that kept the Biden administration in a box, because he did legitimately win the election in 2020 and wouldn't just walk away knowing he had the evidence of all that. So I believe that's all true. I believe our elections are stolen, of course. Anyway, all that to say is I do believe there's something bigger going on behind the scenes. I understand and have written extensively about and researched extensively the fact that we are in the middle of a narrative warfare, like a narrative war for the narrative, psyops, all the time, info war, whatever, however you want to label it. That is everything we consume on social media, in the information on TV, anything. It's all narrative warfare. Okay. I understand that broadly it's a good versus evil war. And I believe Trump is on the good side of things. Okay. He's on the good ledger. That's where I try to fit in as well. I think most of you watching are probably in that same boat. We're all Trump supporters. Okay. And honestly, Trump is probably the only person that I can confidently say I know for a fact and would be willing to bet money on, like, yeah, that person's fighting for good. There are other people, but you never know. Trump is the one I can actually confidently say and be willing to bet on. Other people, depending on the odds. Now, back to the Venezuela situation. I do not accept the story that the media is giving us at face value. And I don't know why anybody would. Like, we talk about the media and how they always lie to us. Trump himself has called the media the enemy of the people. And yet this story, a lot of people are like, oh yeah, face value. We just went and kidnapped him and took him out of there and all those things. Okay. I don't think it's about oil. We'll talk about that in a little bit. I'm not even 100% sure though, if it was a negotiated exit. I don't know. Nobody does, as I said earlier. And the sad part is we probably will never know unless these people actually decide to tell us someday. And they're probably never going to tell us. So we're probably never going to know. We're kind of left with speculation and just trying to, as things unfold, map the stories onto reality or what we think is reality. Like eventually, you get a pretty good roadmap. I have chosen as a career path to participate in the info war like full time. Like this is what I do. I live and breathe this stuff. I put myself out there, my real name and everything. I started Badlands, and Badlands has been funding other info warriors essentially to sustain their like full-time doing this to the best of their ability. Like I've invested in this thing, not just myself, but other people. I consume information like all day, every day. CC will vouch for it. She low-key hates it, but is very supportive. I'm constantly taking in information. Okay. I am capable of multitasking, meaning I can hold two ideas in my head at the same time and like engage with both of them. Like I can hold two ideas in my head and like see them both as being possible and what it would look like if one thing went one way and one went another. And there are some days even where I can even get three ideas in my head at the same time. Like multiple ideas, like three ideas all at once. Like, oh my gosh, all these are possible. The only thing that sucks about that is if I have three ideas in my head, I am not able to chew gum and walk at the same time. That's like the downside. But it's possible. Other people can do all those things at once. It's nuts. And the reason I'm saying all this is because I form opinion about things, understanding there are bigger things going on. Like when we talk about something like the Venezuela situation or the elections or whatever it is, and you get people on social media that come out and like, oh my God, I can't believe you think that's legitimate. Like, what are you talking about? Or, you don't support Trump anymore because you disagree with the regime change. It's like, you guys are you that stringent on your belief? Like you're not an info warrior if you can't engage with multiple ideas at the same time. You're a sheep. And that's just my opinion. Just my opinion. You are going to wherever your source of information is, taking what they're saying to you and just regurgitating that as if it's true when you don't know it's true. There's so few people that are willing to admit that they don't actually know what's going on. Like we're all retarded, guys. All of us, including myself. I personally think I'm the lovable kind of retarded. Some people think I'm the hateable kind of retarded, and it doesn't matter. None of us actually know what the hell is going on. We're all doing our best to figure it out. Really, the only person that does is Trump. The people that do know what's going on actually are not telling us. They're lying to us all the time. So, I don't think Maduro is a good guy, okay? That's one idea in my head. I do not think he's a good guy. I am not saying he is innocent of any of the alleged crimes or anything. Not once said that. I'm not even saying that like I'm upset over the fact that Maduro got kidnapped in the middle of the night from his own country. Like that doesn't even, like I don't care. I shed no tears for Nicolás Maduro or his wife. And that's even taking everything they're saying at face value. Taking it not as face value, I think he's just like playing his part. Bent the knee, negotiate exit. He's going to end up in Russia probably or wherever. He's not actually going to get prosecuted. Okay? He probably got flipped. Definitely good speculation to have. Shed no tears over Nicolás Maduro whatsoever. Not saying he's a good guy. He could be super guilty of everything. He might not be. I don't know. I also don't know, like, everybody's like, oh, he was illegitimate. You don't know that. And neither do we. The same people that are calling him illegitimate are the same people that called Biden legitimate. Like, oh, yeah, the group of professionals and people running elections in the countries said Biden won the election and Trump didn't, had to walk away. But and also Nicolás Maduro is illegitimate. Plus, we're being told that Venezuela is like the hub of election fraud. And I'm seeing this graphic shared around where it's like Maduro with 2 million and whoever the opposition was with like 6 million. It's like you're telling me the guy who controls the election machines and who we were told just recently controls 72 elections in 72 countries for the past 20 years doesn't even have a grip on his own elections and can't get more votes than the other candidate. Like, I don't even know if that graphic was real, but I saw it passed around like multiple times. But regardless, his legitimacy and anybody's legitimacy comes down to the consent of the governed, which Biden did not clearly have. I don't know. I'm not from Venezuela. I don't know if he had that in Venezuela. He had the military. Maybe he bought him off. I don't know. Again, don't know what we don't know. And know your videos of like people celebrating his loss aren't going to convince me that him being removed was a good thing. Okay? I don't know. And I honestly don't care. What it comes down to for me, while understanding there's more going on behind the scenes, and he probably walked away willingly, the idea, the principle of regime change, like the United States going in and using the military to change the political dynamics of a country, that's a regime change. Us doing that, I'm not okay with. Even understanding there's other things going on, I'm not okay with the principle of regime changes. And I think it's hypocritical a little bit as a country to support that stuff. Like, governments are supposed to get their power from the consent of the governed, as I said. Yet, if another country comes in, takes away the existing power, whether legitimate or not, or how they got there, whatever, and then puts somebody there, somebody else, did you consent to that? Does that person have the consent of the governed? And if another country is doing that, are they doing it for their own motive and personal reasons? Are they doing it for your best interest? Probably not. They're not doing it for the best interest of the country. And that's, I don't think Trump's that kind of guy. And again, we're going to get into why this actually took place. And I do think there are legitimate national security reasons that could justify it. And even though it could be justified, I still don't agree with the principle of it. We have enough of our own problems here in our country that we need to fix before we go fixing other people's countries. And at the end of the day, I said this on Saturday, and I kind of stand by it. I don't care about Venezuelans living in Venezuela. And I mean that in terms of like a list. If I had to make a list of people I care about, and I'm talking like a full list of everybody, okay? It would be like my kids, my girlfriend, my immediate family. I obviously care about God too. And then it's like my good friends, maybe distant cousins, and then my, so-so friends, and then my neighbors, and then people in my neighborhood, my county, my city, and then my state, and then the Midwest. Like, it was just getting bigger and bigger from where I'm at. And Venezuela is not like very close on that list. Maybe there's some Venezuelans in North Dakota. I care about them before I care about the Venezuelans in Venezuela. Like, that is all I'm saying. Like, down to the most immediate level, I care about me, my family, and the people that I interact with. Much more than I care about people that I've never met, that live in another country, and the only information I get about them is from mainstream media sources. I have no connection to people in Venezuela. Okay? So no, I don't care about Venezuela. Like, just generally speaking, I really don't. And if you do, then you're kind of full of shit, because there's no people that actually operate like that. I can still be an empathetic person and empathetic to what other people are going through while being like, I know that sucks, but you might just have to figure out your own shit on your own. Like, let me fix myself, and then I'll come help you with your issues. Let me put out the fire in my house and use my resources to put out the fire in my house before I go and put out the fire in your house, also using my resources. Okay? The way we got formed as a country was throwing off a government, a tyrannical king, off our back in 1776. If the people of a country don't like their government, they can throw them off their back too. It is possible. And if they decide to do that, then, maybe we get involved there. I don't know. But the idea and concept of us meddling in the affairs of other countries, even though I can see them being justified, like you could explain it to me and give me all the reasons and why it was a good thing. And I could be like, yeah, those are all great reasons. I'm still against it. So that's just like, now that that's out of the way, just because I'm not supportive of regime change does not make me like anti-Trump in the slightest. You guys are retarded for thinking that. Like, it's not a purity test. I do not have to agree with everything Trump does, especially when I know that Trump is constantly engaging in psyops. I say this all the time. Like, we can't really ever take Trump at face value because he's the only one we know for sure constantly engaging in the narrative war. He is setting like both ends of the spectrum of most of the narratives we see. While I understand there is something bigger going on, I don't have access to whatever that is. None of us do. It's all we're all speculating. So why would I operate based on speculation versus operate based on my values and principles? You know what I mean? But I'm never going to agree with everything Trump does. And some of the things he does, I think he's doing it for psyop reasons. Some of the things he does, I think he's just like doing it to get a reaction. Some of the things he does, I think it's because there's something bigger going on behind the scenes, like this Venezuela thing. I can still disagree with it on principle. That's okay. You should never sacrifice advocating for the principles and values you believe in for the sake of like unity with somebody, especially a politician, but really anybody. You should never be willing to stop advocating for what you believe in, period. And if you truly believe it's the right thing, like it's even more important to do so. But what I'm seeing is people are like, oh, stop calling it a regime change because that's what the mainstream media is doing. The mainstream media might be right. Like by definition, Trump has called it the Maduro regime. I even have a clip of that. So let's just get the semantics out of the way. The Maduro regime, according to Trump.
Maduro regime emptied out their prison.
Rubio, on his post on social media, says it's a regime. Like, it's the Maduro regime. Trump changed that regime. Regime change. Like, we can stop playing semantics. But I was told that I'm, like, assisting the mainstream media because they're also calling it a regime change. And they're, trying to do it to paint Trump in a negative light or whatever. I don't think it paints Trump in a negative light at all. I disagree with it. I don't like it. But the ability to pull off what he's saying they pulled off is like one of the most impressive, like, displays of power projection you could possibly do. He went into another country and supposedly just like picked the guy up and took him. And now he's being prosecuted in New York, him and his wife. The leader of another country. Whether legitimate or not, I get it. That's very damn impressive. But calling a spade a regime change, spade a spade. Like this was a regime change by all definitions of it. And it's okay to say that. And it's also okay to disagree with him doing it, even if you understand there's something bigger going on, ulterior motives. Until they tell us what those ulterior motives actually were and what's actually going on, we don't have to sit quietly by and just like take the things at face value and be okay with it. Otherwise we lose the midterms. That is retarded. Anyway, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I think I got it all on my system. Probably not. I didn't really give it as good of a closing as I wanted. I got distracted by the chat. My goal through that whole thing was to not look at the chat, and once I did, I was shot. But let me catch up. Maduro wouldn't leave. Maduro was a dictator. Maybe. You don't know that, and that's what the mainstream media is telling us. We don't know that for sure. That's the thing. We don't know what we don't know. Because it is entirely also possible that Maduro was actually working with Trump. He's got the same enemy as Trump, the globalists. He was never willing to play ball. The same people calling him a dictator are the ones that have called Trump a dictator forever. And although Trump has also called Maduro a dictator, but Trump's kind of called himself a dictator. Like, who cares? People are telling us that there's a bad person in another part of the world doing bad things. None of you have probably ever been there personally to actually see it. And if you have, like, those are the opinions I would put much more value on than people on social media who get their opinions from other podcasters. You know what I mean? Like, if you can show me actual Venezuelans who have actually suffered at the hands of the Maduro regime and all the bad things he's done, and I'm not even saying he didn't do bad things. I'm just saying in this instance, we don't know what the deal was here. It almost seems too easy for it to have been an actual kidnapping. Again, I think it's more of a negotiated exit. They're dismantling parts. And this is the even more interesting things. Trump's national security strategy came out in December, and it talked about these regions of responsibility and how the Western Hemisphere is going to be ours. We're going to stop worrying about, these foreign wars and meddling in foreign countries. Let me go and regime change Venezuela. But long term, I understand why. I do. And this article came out, and I don't even know who this was. A Substack. Little repetitive. There might be some AI use in here, but the idea of what she's talking about here is, I think, spot on. And I want to share my screen with you to show you guys this. I have to share a different screen. So hold on for 1 second. Stop this one. I think this is it. Okay. Oops, that's not what I wanted either. I want to get the chat back up. Did I miss any exciting comments in the chat that I need to read? Kinship Quest is not okay. You must be in lockstep with all Democratic scumbags who take power. Didn't you hear? I never understood. Like, when did unity, like, you need to approve of everything that Trump does, otherwise you don't support him. Like that is one of the dumbest takes I've probably encountered in the last week. And I don't understand how that's a thing. Like my kids, right? My kids are going to do dumb stuff. They do dumb stuff. They're kids. They do stuff I don't agree with. They use markers on the table when we've told them repeatedly not to do that. Constantly spill stuff. Like, they do things all the time that I do not like and I do not support, do not agree with. But I still love them dearly. I support them broadly. I'm a little biased because I'm raising them, but you get the idea. It is impossible to be in lockstep with anybody else's ideology 100%. I don't think that's possible. It's very rare that two people will be in total agreement about everything, especially when it comes to like politics and all that stuff. It's almost impossible. That's not, the founders were in disagreement over like damn near everything. It's not supposed to work. You don't have to, just because the guy is, got the R next to his name, won the election in the fraudulent election system, overcame the fraudulent election system to become the president. Just because he has an R next to his name doesn't mean you have to support everything he does. And you can still vote for him in the midterms if that's your thing. You know what I mean? If you want to have insight into the situation, bring on an expert resident in Venezuela. I would love to get one on. Richard Rohr says, John, it's all fake and gay. It's a movie. There are movie elements to it, but I do not think it is all fake and gay. There are some real elements as well. John, how about a moment of silence for the Ravens? Oh, yeah, Cece was a little upset last night. She's a Ravens fan, and the game was crazy, especially at the end there, which is all I really watched. It's like the last fourth quarter. Bunch of lead changes, bunch of great plays, both sides, and the kicker missed the field goal. Actually, oh man, remind me to show you what Tomlin said. Dang it, I should just do it now while we're on the topic. To go to another screen again. Hold on. Tomlin, I think it's this Tomlin aunt. Because Mike Tomlin, the coach of the Steelers, was asked about the kicker missing the kick. Like, what happens if he would have made it?
Make that kick, season's over, comes to a screeching halt, and missing that kick and the winner going on.
You know how it is. If my aunt had male parts, she'd be my uncle.
That's hysterical. If my aunt had male parts, she'd be my uncle. Based as hell. Okay, let's finally do this. This is what I think most closely maps onto reality of what is actually going on in Venezuela. I shared this on my Twitter, and I can post it in the chat as well. If I can find my links here. Okay, there we go. My browsers, my computers are a mess today. I have so many tabs open all over the place. Plus, I have to go into Adobe to read this so I can highlight it. Okay, so the real reason the Pentagon approved Venezuela critical minerals in an adversary expulsion. Before examining the strategic calculus behind the January 3rd, 2026 military operation in Venezuela, it is essential to understand who actually makes decisions of this magnitude. In the American national security apparatus, the Pentagon does not await presidential direction on major military operations. The Pentagon assesses threats, evaluates strategic priorities, and determines when military action crosses from option to necessity. The president then executes what the military establishment has already decided is required. And this makes sense. Like, Trump isn't on the ground reading through every country's different geopolitical situations and military situations. Like, he has advisors. Everybody has their role. They determine what is necessary. Some of it they can do on their own. Some of it they need presidential approval. Makes total sense. Okay. She says here, it's not constitutional theory. This is operational reality. When the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and theater commanders present a unified position that a specific threat configuration demands military response, civilian leadership approves or faces the political consequences of overriding the uniformed military on national security grounds. Trump's public statements about oil and his claim that Venezuela's resources will benefit the United States represent the political narrative constructed to sell the operation domestically. Isn't that sad? How they have to, they can't just tell us the truth. They need to try to sell us what they're doing, and they essentially do it by lying to us. And yes, I still support Trump, even though I know he lies to us. It's okay. But it's like, yeah, they're all retarded. They're also normie. We'll just sell them on the oil and they won't care. And some of Trump's supporters are like, yeah, yay, regime change. People are literally cheering on regime changes in foreign countries because Trump did it. Stupid. The Pentagon's determination that adversary presence and critical mineral vulnerabilities required kinetic action represents the actual decision calculus. Sorry, I only got to respond to a text. The targeting package, operational timeline, force structure, and strategic objectives were determined by military planners based on threat assessment and capability requirements. The decision to strike was made when the Pentagon concluded that the convergence of Chinese resource control, Iranian weapons manufacturing, and Russian military integration exceeded acceptable risk parameters. Trump's role was to authorize what had already been deemed militarily necessary, provide political cover through public messaging about drugs and oil. This matters because the oil narrative, while politically convenient, obscures the actual strategic imperatives that drove Pentagon approval. Understanding what the military establishment determined was worth the largest U.S. operation in Latin America since 1989 requires looking past presidential rhetoric to threat assessments and capability vulnerabilities that define Pentagon planning. So again, I don't know with 100% certainty if this is everything. I just think this is the best explanation for the actual, motives that they can sell us on type of thing that I've seen. It's not the oil. It's not because of the drugs. That's the political cover for it. What we're about to go through makes more sense. And even so, it might not be the actual truth. This might just be part of the story. This might be the sub story they're trying to sell us later. Part of the, controlled opposition dynamic. You have the official truth, according to the mainstream media, which is the oil and the drugs, and he's bad. And then the sub narrative, which is like all these military reasons, which might all be true. But then there's probably something else outside of both of those where reality sits. And that's what we're never privy to. We're going to be stuck in debating it within the controlled opposition dynamic for eternity. And that's okay sometimes. Sometimes that's fun. Sometimes it's really gay. The prevailing narrative is political theater. The prevailing narrative surrounding the operation centers on oil and narcotics trafficking. This framing is politically convenient but strategically incomplete. Yes, the Pentagon has approved military operations for oil before. Iraq 2003 stands as definitive proof that oil access, regional control, and maintaining petrodollar hegemony can justify kinetic action, regardless of whether WMD theater gets constructed for public consumption. But Venezuelan oil in 2026 does not meet the strategic threshold that Iraqi oil did in 2003. Iraq represented control of Middle East oil flows at a critical choke point, leverage over global pricing through OPEC's largest reserves, petrodollar system maintenance, and prevention of a regional hegemon controlling Gulf supplies. Venezuela represents collapsed production, 700,000 barrels a day, versus Iraq's potential 3+ million. It's a Western Hemisphere location with no choke point control, degraded infrastructure, and a country already sanctioned and marginalized from global markets. If it were purely about oil, it would have happened in 2019. But now the Pentagon's, their top priority, according to the NDAA, is an investment in critical minerals, $7.5 billion allocation. When China restricted rare earth exports in April 2025, demonstrating willingness to weaponize supply chains, when Chinese buyers achieved operational control of Venezuelan mining operations, when IRGC drone manufacturing facilities became operational, when Russian military advisors reached comprehensive integration with Venezuelan forces. That is why this took place. All those reasons. And this goes on to go into them in more detail. I don't think I will. Basically, what it's saying is 3 things came to be in this country, in Venezuela. One of them, China, having this major choke point on all sorts of critical minerals. And we've seen Trump and his emphasis on getting our own supply. Venezuela has a lot of them, but they were very active working with some of the cartels and gangs or whatever to secure them. This operation puts a stop to that. There's also the IRGC, Iran, and Hezbollah. They were making drones in Venezuela. Well, this stops that too. And then Russia, they have some of their own troops there doing training. And it's all very close to the United States. Totally get it. All of these reasons, I could see it being true. Totally justified. Great stuff. It's a strategic and national security issue. It makes sense they did it. I can still be against it. And I can still not like the fact that why don't you just tell us that instead of lying to us? And I can still support Trump the entire time. Isn't that wild? You guys are you're witnessing greatness here, really. You are witnessing me multitask 3 or 4 things in my head at the same time. 3 or 4 different things all simultaneously happening in my head. And you guys get to watch it. I'm almost jealous of you guys. But yeah, I'm going to share this article one more time in the chat. I'm not going to go into the full breakdown. But it makes sense. See, you guys are impressed. I like it. Oh, wait, we got Rebel Wife in the chat. Completes your sentences. I will talk to you offline about some of the things Zach has tried to. What has Zach tried to do? Wait, what are we doing? What's happening here? Not culty enough, John? How do I make it more culty? Hitler liked his people and invaded other countries too. The left is going to have a field day with this. And we like our expectations. If you temper your expectations, you can't expect, especially in a war, like we all broadly agree there's a form of warfare going on. To the extent there's disagreement, some people think it's full control and there's not actually war. It's just we're all just being shown a bunch of things by people who already won a war because they can't just come and tell us. We don't have enough people willing to accept the truth. So we need more people to want the truth before they can give us the truth or something like that. I don't know. I don't understand the full control, full movie, watching a movie dynamic because it changes so often. But anyway, most of the people agree there's a broader war taking place, right? And I don't remember why I started this talking point. Oh, the left's going to feel like this. We're not going to win everything. Not everything's going to be peachy. Not everything's going to be good. There are going to be things they have to do to move chess pieces off the board that the left is going to have a field day with. The mainstream media is going to have a field day with. And some of those things, they're going to be true. Some of them they're going to have a field day with for false reasons. But if they're not going to tell us the truth about it, they're obviously willing to allow the left to have a field day with those reasons and those justifications. And if they're not telling us about the real, like, we have every right to be upset over those things too, or not agree with them. That is okay. You can still be fighting for good and understand the justification for moves good people make, even if you don't agree that those moves are justified. Even if you don't agree with the justifications. Is this making sense? Maybe you shaving off your facial hair is giving you this superpower. Melon Rhine, I don't understand why an arrest bothers you. It doesn't bother me at all. Are you being funny? Because that is funny. Because like I said, I don't shed a tear. I don't agree with the idea of regime change. Zach said he was going to the chiropractor this morning on Badlands Daily. John wished J-Trit were near him. I don't know, he's probably better off with chiropractors in his area. Just kidding, J-Trit. You're probably really good at your job. Your mistake, John, is thinking everyone likes you. I don't care if anybody likes me. That's your mistake, is thinking I care. Because I don't. People are going to have their opinions of me. A lot of people have false opinions of me. People who actually know me tend to like me. But I don't care if they do or not. I'm still going to be myself. And I don't expect people to like me. I'm not operating because I want people to like me. Let's say that. Five o'clock shadow John is fierce. Do I need to keep this more often? Shave it down. How do you introduce evidence discovery? I've been told that for like 6 years now, 5 years, however long it's been. That is an excuse we use because it sounds nice. While it's totally possible that's what's happening, but we haven't reaped the rewards of that one yet. And I hope they do. He was illegitimate, so was it really a regime change? How do you know? This is the thing. What gives something legitimacy? What gives a president legitimacy? It's the consent of the governed. We are told he was illegitimate. But again, all the same people saying that told us Biden was legitimate. Do the people telling us what is and isn't legitimate, is that even, like, do they know what they're talking about? It's not up to us to determine whether another country or another person is legitimate or not. And it's not up to us to take him out of there if we determine he is or isn't, whatever. You guys understand what I'm saying? It's not our job to determine if another country's leader is legitimate. It is up to those people in that country to determine if the person they've elected is legitimate or not. It's not up to us. And it certainly shouldn't be up to us to go in and like take a leader out of there, whether legitimate or not. We are not the world police. I don't want to be the world police. especially when we have so much bullshit going on in our country already. We can play world police once we fix our own damn problems. We are sitting here waiting for accountability of leaders, past leaders in this country, elites in this country. We're waiting for that. We haven't gotten it yet. Not a single one has been held accountable yet. Not saying it's not coming. I can engage with that idea while also being like, yeah, it sucks it's taking so long. I can do both things at the same time. We have not seen a single ounce of accountability for elected representatives in this country, elites, powerful, former presidents, whatever. Haven't seen a lick. But we're cheering for accountability of another country's leader for their wrongdoings. Let's fix the problems here first before we go and meddle elsewhere. That's the principle I'm standing behind. Even though I understand there's probably a lot more geopolitical stuff, sovereign alliance stuff, rare earth mineral stuff, national security strategy stuff in the mix. Totally get all the justifications, read it all. I get it. And even all that stuff doesn't make me think that regime change is a good thing. There's probably nothing anybody could do to convince me that regime change is a good and moral thing for a country to be doing, even with all the right reasons. JTrade has adjusted my neck several times and he didn't kill me once. I've had JTrade adjust my neck several times and my neck has never once gotten better. That may not necessarily be JTrade's fault, but it's the truth. JTrade's great though. I love JTrade. No matter how you look at it, the regime has been changed. Yes, I do at least wish we could get on the same page about the definitions here, because definitionally, whatever regime existed in Venezuela before has been changed because of some sort of military operation. Why do we care? I don't know. Why do you care? It's this exciting stuff, guys. This is like the biggest piece of news we've had in a while. I'm always going to talk about it. Phil Scarborough, what if he did turns out to be an act of war? What if what he did turns out to be an act of war? I mean, who's going to determine that? And who are we going to be fighting against? I mean, there's going to be a lot of interesting discussions over this move that Trump made for the foreseeable future. The Democrats, the left, they're all going to do their screeching. Some of, like the regime change thing, I can agree with. I don't want to be doing that, but the rest of it's bullshit. But like I said earlier, the display that he put on here, just incredible power projection. He can, if it's even true the way it's being presented, which I doubt, but the story of this is it's fascinating. Just go into another country, take your leader out, bring him here, charge him. But it wasn't a war. It wasn't an act of war, because it was just like an arrest. It was a legal thing. It's laid in a few parking tickets. John's really going to be on the struggle bus as the same thing happens in Colombia, Cuba, and possibly Iran. Yeah. I do anticipate it's going to happen in other places. That doesn't mean that I still think it's morally right. This is what I don't think you guys understand. Like, I'm not on a struggle bus. I'm advocating for my principles that I believe in, my values. I disagree with regime change, while knowing that it's probably going to happen all over the Western Hemisphere. And looking back at it, like in the future, looking back at it, all the things that Trump has done here, like including the Venezuela one, I'm going to be like, yeah, that was a good move. Like it was the benefits that were reaped from that move or this move or future moves, whatever, regime changes stuff. Like there were net positive benefits from it. That doesn't mean I have to agree with the morality of what was done. It's not how it works. Rubio said Trump said he's illegitimate. Maduro trafficked drugs. Yeah, so did the Biden regime. Brutal dictators are bad. Yes, they are. John, what if Maduro holds the evidence we need to take down those bad actors within the USA? Does Venezuela not have a fax machine? Man, chat's flying today. I'm way behind. So, John, how do you suggest we handle this? Oh, we got goalposts moving. It's morally right to save the children. Yeah. Net positive benefits for global Jewry in removing Maduro, Netanyahu, Miss Lindsey Graham are giddy right now. Call that a mojo. Sent you an email. I'll check that out. The mainstream media, CNN, has told us he's a brutal dictator. So, of course he is. Ash, a movie reference. We call it a mojo. Does anybody get her movie reference? Because I don't. Be more emotional about everything, John. I don't feel like I'm being emotional, but I haven't really covered anything today other than this. Doge, no change on their website. Let's try to buzz through a few things here and then get distracted by the chat again. No update on the Doge website. Gold and silver were up big this morning. I wonder if the back is still up. Yep, 44.63 for gold, 77.08 for silver. Good stuff. Only update on the presidential website was regarding the acquisition of certain assets of MCOR Corporation by Hypho Corporation. I haven't even read it, so forgive me. Tim Walz is no longer running for re-election. It just the path for Mike Lindell to the governor's mansion in Minnesota is super clear right now. It's a shoo-in. If only our elections were legitimate. Maduro and his wife appeared in court today. Good stuff. Well, there's a whole bunch of other stuff that I wanted to get to. Hey, Seth, and I'm just discussing this stuff broadly right now. Maybe I'll get into it tomorrow if it's a slow day. We'll see. Hegseth moves to reduce Mark Kelly's military retirement over seditious conduct. Remember when everybody's like, yeah, this is sedition. The punishment for sedition is less retirement benefits. I'm pretty sure that's what everybody's saying. We need to hang him out to dry by lowering his pension. That's the accountability we want. Venezuela's acting president signals cooperation with the Trump administration after Maduro capture. Maduro wasn't able to bend the knee maybe for certain reasons, but this one doesn't have those certain reasons now that he's out of the picture. Let's see what else. All this other stuff. I went way too long on my rant. So, whatever. I'm just going to talk with you guys until I raid you over to Y-Chromes. Let me see the rants here. We got Melon Ryan. It's not regime change. It was an arrest. Semantics. I don't understand why an arrest bothers you. It doesn't. Already went over that. Team Smooth, supportive of your juggling aptitude, especially while maintaining your principles. Thank you, Team Smooth. Thanks for being it. But seriously, John, I saw that Maduro joined you guys on Bad Gaming yesterday. That's based. Oh, yeah. Everybody's having fun with the memes, the Maduro memes right now. And I posted this one. Playing a video game. Pretty funny, I thought. Lee Walden, John, have you seen Ezra Cohen recent posts regarding Venezuela? Yeah, I've been following him too. And guys, I'm not asking you guys to agree with everything I'm saying, by the way. I'm not sitting here claiming that I'm right about everything. Because I'm not. I know I'm not. I'm willing to admit that though. If you're right about the arguments that you make and you think I'm wrong, like make a better argument. I can be convinced, but it's very rare that people actually can like make a better argument. Because when I take a position on something, which is even difficult to do in the info war because there's so much we don't know. Like you're taking a position over something that is speculative and like feeds your confirmation bias, and I do that too. Like how do you Like it's only, you can't make a factual argument to convince somebody else to come to your side. You make an appeal to like all sorts of bullshit, honestly. Like that's what typically happens. Ash says, talk about how much you miss beard oil. That is the one thing. But here, Ash, guess what? Even though my beard has been diminished, not in power, just in length, I still use the beard oil all over my face. And it feels so good. My skin feels so good. I love the beard oil. And if you haven't gotten some yet and you have a beard, whether you're a boy or girl, doesn't matter. If you have facial hair of any kind, you might as well have it looking amazing, smelling amazing, feeling amazing with some soft disclosure beard oil.
Get you some of that beard oil.
Now that I'm alone, got the close up. Do you see how awesome my beard looks right now?
I use the beard oil every single day, first thing.
Comes out feeling all silky smooth.
I take the dropper and I manually apply the oil
To every
directly
hair.
to my mustache.
Nice and, oh man, I love it.
And then I do drops all throughout the hair, and then I just rub it all in. And then I top it off with the tallow stick on the face.
But I feel like I have to grow a beard just to try this beard oil. It sounds
Do it, Jay.
amazing.
It's all from softdisclosure.com, and the best part about it is you will be supporting Badlands Media, Annie from Willowwind Farms, and basically 3 of Annie's neighbors. So that's 5 total American companies that you'd be supporting with one purchase.
I have been using the Soft Disclosure scentless beard oil every day after the shower. It looks unkempt, but it feels silky smooth. I want to look a little wild and unapproachable, but for the woman I trust, she'll be like, oh, it's actually kind of soft. He is approachable after all. Otherwise, stay away. And Soft Disclosure will help you too with that if that's the very specific vibe you're going for.
That is very specific, yes.
You guys are supporting American businesses when you do that. It's absolutely incredible, and you get a great, great product.
There was one more comment I want to address quick, but first, PJ Corrigan, a guy that I got to get in on some bad gaming for next week. Shoot me a DM on Twitter and let me know what you play. But yeah, let's do it. Okay, one comment I read here was Fretman Dan, John's opinions now conflict with his devotion theory. I think he meant devolution theory. And I don't know how you come to that conclusion at all. So I'd love for you to elaborate on that. Because I've acknowledged multiple times that my theory, I think is spot on, but I don't 100% know whether it's right or what's actually going on. There is something going on. I call it devolution, and I presented my facts for it. I don't know for sure if it ended on January 19th, which, by the way, we're almost on the 1-year anniversary of the partial revocation of Executive Order 13961, which is real exciting. We'll celebrate somehow. I acknowledge something bigger is going on behind the scenes. I don't know with 100% certainty what that is. And even all that said, that doesn't mean I have to agree with the idea of regime change. It's retarded. And that doesn't conflict with the devolution theory in the slightest. Does Gaming with John make you a co-founder? I think just getting the shirt does that. But yes, we can do that as well. What's the goal of a bad gamer? Well, the reason we did the gaming is because every month we have to get 5 hours, I believe it is, of Rumble Premium streaming. And we felt like, I think it was Zach's idea, is like, let's just game on there, see games every Sunday. And so we started doing it. And I don't know, it was fun. We had the people watching, so we'll do it. We'll keep doing it until we... 8slow9. Let's try to decipher this. I see another reason why some don't like you. Some self-pride that some lack. Opinion of self is all outside, whereas you, I don't know what that means. Yeah, I don't know when it was or when it clicked for me, but it was sometime during like the awakening process or when I started my devolution series and started streaming. At first, I used to be like, oh my God, everything anybody says, I hate it. Like, I don't like people saying negative things. My mindset has come so far since then that I want people to say more negative things. Like, I do not care. That's how little I care. I'm self-confident in myself enough. I'm happy with myself enough. My friends know me, my family. Like, I do not care what anybody else says or thinks about me in the slightest. You may say something that I disagree with, and I might call you retarded, but I do not care what you say. The paid operative bitch fag speak, they all appeal to emotion and declared contradiction with no sauce. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like we got some trolls in here today. That happens. Anyway, I'm going to let you guys go. I'm going to raid you over to Y Chromes. And I know some people don't like raiding. I've seen the comments. You can control whether or not you get raided. It's in your Rumble settings. So if you don't like being raided, go turn your settings off. You click like account options. There's something in there for not participating in raids. It's on you. Otherwise, I will see you guys tonight on Baseless Conspiracies, 10:30 p.m. Eastern. Hope you guys have a great rest of your Monday. Dang, I can't remember how to say Monday again. I just learned it in Spanish and I forgot already. But anyway, thanks everybody for tuning in. I will see you next time I see you.
Read all about it.
3. Let's get started.
That's real good.